Hello, everyone. Welcome to Elevating Your Life. And we will be elevated today. Oh my gosh, I have an amazing guest to share with you today. We have with us Tania Kolar. She is an author, motivational speaker, international TV personality, online radio host, and life coach. She is the author of this book, Breaking the Stupid Mold. And Tanya's experience and what she shares in the book is so amazing. After suffering a traumatic personal tragedy, she overcame the anguish and deep emotional pain. And her life's mission now is to share and help others do the same. Tanya, you are amazing, and thank you for being our guest today.
Oh, Paula, thank you so much. It is such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for a beautiful introduction. And I'm truly honored to be joining you today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, let's begin a little bit about what you want to share about, prior to writing this book, uh, what prompted you to do it and have that open up the mission that you're on. Tell us a bit of your background.
So, I've always been, a lover of personal development, self-help. I've studied this for decades. So for me, that's been a passion for just, as long as I can remember. I was inspired to write the book through a personal experience that I had where, it was a traumatic experience. I suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder from this particular event. And then I really got that my behaviors and my patterns were really running my life. And I didn't see that. I didn't make that connection until I had this, giant shakeup in my life. And I think that a lot of people can relate to that. You're stuck in a routine, you're stuck in a pattern, living day by day. And until something big happens and your world changes, it really opens your eyes to, what's going on inside. So through this personal experience that I had, I started to realize that I had, incredibly powerful limiting beliefs that were preventing me from living my life. So it was a process. I started to break everything down because, and through that awareness, which was the first step. But I realized that I learned so much. Now it was not a wonderful experience, if you look at, the situation that happened, but it was one of the best things that could have potentially happened to me so that I could really essentially get out of my own way and start living a life that felt like me, a life that I wanted to have versus the life that I was resigned to think I had.
Yes, yes. Oh, and so many amazing things that you talk about in this book. And I had to write a few of them down. I loved it. And, one is, with the things happening, you said, in the darkest moments come the most illuminate teachings. And that is such a powerful statement, Tanya.
Yeah, it truly is a powerful statement and I've lived it. And that's why I felt it was so important for me to share my experience and to write about it because I know so many people will get the benefit and they can apply it to their own experiences in their life. And I know it's not even just like a belief that I have, it's a strong knowing that your biggest challenges in life, your obstacles, whatever those are your absolute greatest rewards. If you can look long enough and deep enough, you will find that those moments, those challenges, the tragedies, whatever it is that you're suffering, those have a beautiful gift for you. So it's like this illumination from that darkness, the depths of despair, or whatever you call it. You really start to, emerge from that and have a new way of being going forward that's going to serve you. Because right now, I think a lot of people are living a life, being dictated by their limiting beliefs. Now, I understand that in a huge way because I had so many limiting beliefs. Like I had a ton of them, and they were so deeply ingrained, and it was silently running in the background. It's, I call it that silent dictator. You don't know that it's there, but it's controlling everything you do. It controls your thoughts, your patterns, your habits, and your beliefs. And so I call the book Breaking the Stupid Mold. So I call it a mold. And really what a mold is the accumulation of those negative thoughts, those patterns, habits, and beliefs. And, the reason that I also call it a mold is because it's like soft, malleable clay initially. All those thoughts and patterns and everything that we're thinking, it's like this soft, malleable clay that gets shaped and formed constantly by putting more and more in. But at some point, it becomes fixed and immovable until finally broken. And that is what is controlling our days. So it's not even about what we believe to be true or what we know to be true about ourselves. It's what other people believe to be true about us. It's the limiting beliefs and the insecurities that we've inherited from our parents, our caregivers, or even it goes back to, ancestral DNA that we're picking up. And so we live our lives based on a falsehood. It's not even our own reality, but we believe it so strongly that it is, really dictating our life in a negative way.
Yes, yes. And I see it a bit as, we let what others think of us or circumstances or situations box us in. And it's like, you just have to rip open that box. And oh my gosh, once you do, there's all these pathways, you're set free. I know myself, I was bullied in school when I was in junior high. And one day I literally said, I was so shy, said, love me or don't. I'm going to be Paula. And it was like something so huge opened up. I didn't care what anyone else thought of me.
Mhm.
You can call me names or you can do whatever you want, but, laugh at me. I'm just going to be me. And it set me free.
Good for you. I love that. And being bullied as a child, I mean, that's not a pleasant experience. It's quite awful, and especially for a child, right, to have to deal with those kinds of feelings. But to be able to come to that point to say, I'm going to be my authentic self, and if you don't like it, it's not my problem. It's not.
Yes.
It's not.
Yes.
About you at that point. It's all about them, and they're projecting on to you what they know or what they believe to be true. And so I love that you were able to do that. And that's my mission, is to help other people start to really break down those barriers and those beliefs that have kept them captive in a life that is not authentic to who they are at their core. We are all meant to live an absolutely extraordinary life. And so many people are living that inferior life. They're stuck on the road to inferiority because it feels comfortable, and they don't want to make any changes because they fear that, and the fear keeps you immobilized. So I think it's so important for us to become aware of what is holding us back and start to identify what our limiting beliefs are so that we can finally get rid of them, break that pattern, and create a life that we love.
Yes, yes, that is so true. And you are spot on in your book when you say no one has the power to choose your beliefs, how you feel, unless you give up that power to them. And that is so true. And it's really, when you say, easier to let happen than we realize. We may not even realize the effect we let others. And something I've come to realize is, when you say, so many people that do criticize or, you know, put you in a box, it's because of not having confidence in themselves. And
Yeah.
you don't know what they're going through.
Confidence is a big issue, for those sort of behaviors. And so many people have, everyone has their own experience. So of course they're going to look at things from their perspective. But it's exactly that. It's just perspectives. None of it is truth. So we associate whatever meaning we want to give to whatever just happened. And that it's the meaning that we attribute to any circumstance that is really what's going to dictate the quality of our lives. So we can latch on to, old negative beliefs and patterns, and get stuck and fixed in a negative meaning to something. And then we can't break that pattern, or we choose not to break that pattern. And oftentimes it is a subconscious thing running again in the background. And that's why I have techniques and strategies in my book to help people identify those limiting beliefs and to break down those patterns, because it is a process. We've taken sometimes decades, right, depending on our age, to develop these deeply ingrained patterns. Now, it doesn't have to take decades. You can literally change that, in a heartbeat if you understand it. But you first have to come to the understanding of what it is that is holding you back. Now, you don't need to get too specific, but you do have to know the root, of what those patterns are, so that you can move forward in a way that is now going to allow you to express yourself and expand beyond who you believe you are, right, to the person you actually are.
Yes. And you've mentioned how important it is to honor our worthiness. Oh, I love that. I love that, Tania. Tell us a bit more about that.
Well, I think that's one of the biggest problems that people are facing, is the belief that I'm not enough, I'm unworthy, I don't deserve. And that is so destructive. If that's the thought process, everything that you do is going to be shaped around that. So you're not going to be able to allow and to let in the good that the universe has there waiting for you, because you just don't believe that you're good enough. And I get that, in a huge way, because I definitely suffered from low self-esteem, feeling unworthy, feeling unlovable. And everybody on this planet is worthy. You are so, individual. Everybody's individual. There's 7.8 billion people on this planet. There is nobody else like you. You are so wonderful and beautiful and extraordinary and perfect. And you have talents to share with everyone in the world. And it's such a tragedy when people hide that beautiful inner light that is natural, it's innate. You don't have to create it, it's already there, but you have to allow it to emerge. And to let that emerge, you want to start breaking down those falsehoods, all the negative things that you think about yourself, as to why you're not worthy. And again, it's oftentimes it's learned behavior, it's learned patterns that we are picking up from other people. And so it really gets in the way of living that extraordinary life.
Yes, yes. And I know that you also, believe that mindset is very important. And I am right there with you, because our mindset, that really directs everything and everywhere we go, our thoughts. It's powerful, isn't it?
Yes, it absolutely is. Your mindset really is everything. And so, your mindset is like a muscle that needs to be, shaped and conditioned and worked on, right? So, I mean, we know we go to the gym, we work out, our biceps, triceps, our abs, our quads, but we don't work out our mindset. So for me, that's the most important thing, is working on your mindset. So we all have this negative critic, that inner critic, that incessant, loud, obnoxious voice that keeps on criticizing you. And, we need to start now to talk back to that inner critic. And realize that, hey, wait a second, if I had a friend like that, if I had a friend, who spoke to me like that, that friend would not be here, right? And same thing with everybody. If you had anyone who spoke to you like your inner critic speaks to you, they'd be ousted. So you want to stop paying attention to that and know that that's just your inner critic, trying to rally you up. So, I have, a process too that I say is that, you want to turn that inner critic into your best friend. So become a friendly observer and turn that critic into your best friend. So you hear those, send love to that inner critic, because the inner critic, is struggling. Struggling with feelings of inferiority and that unworthiness and feeling undeserving. So just send some love and attention, get that self-care, really strong for you, so that you can, so you won't be derailed by those comments that you're hearing. Because when you're constantly hearing that, you're affirming what you're hearing. And again, your life is going to be shaped by that. So our mindset, is a great opportunity to really start to work on that, to start doing positive affirmations. And when you start to hear and recognize that inner critic is jumping in, you want to replace that pattern. As we replace negative patterns, old patterns, we can start to rewire that negative programming. And in fact, so what you're, essentially doing is, by having those new thought patterns and processes, is that you're, rewiring neural networks, new neural pathways. And that's neuroplasticity. The brain is plastic. It's very plastic. It's malleable. So we can continue to learn. Obviously, when we're children, a little more plastic, right? As we mature, yeah, it may take a little bit longer, but it's always a process. You can learn anything new at any time. And when you're learning new behaviors, new patterns, you're going to start to erase those negative patterns. Because again, it's like, as they say, thoughts that fire together, wire together.
Wow. And would you say that as we learn those new positive habits, the negative and what was holding us back, it's going to be easier and easier to not be affected by that, because it's like almost like we're blooming and focused on the positive, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely gets easier as you continue and as you go. Now, there will be opportunities where you're going to be tested. Your old patterns, habits, and beliefs. I call it a mold. You may call it a paradigm or what have you, but it's all of that it's going to challenge you. So when you're on a high, that negativity is going to start to kick in. But the difference is that when you can recognize that, you don't have to live there. You stay there briefly, right? So that could be, a few minutes, an hour, a day, as opposed to months or years. Some people spend decades, holding on to that negativity and those thoughts and those patterns. And so, life is about the ups and downs, right? It's never going to be one or the other. It is about, the duality, because we need to understand what the opposite is to appreciate the good. So I always say, though, you just want to remember that any situation in life, all life experiences are temporary. So when you're in the bottom, know that you're going to get back to the top. And when you're riding that high, yes, things will step in to challenge you. But by conditioning and working on your mindset, you can now prepare for those moments so that you can still function, and you can now again, just stay there briefly and know that everything is happening for a reason. There's a beautiful lesson in our greatest challenges in life. And, as I said, for me personally, I truly got that, the negative experiences were, negative in the moment. Yeah, they were awful. They didn't feel great in the moment. And really, it's just an experience. I attributed that meaning at that time to be awful, but that's just an experience that was temporary. And I also now look at it and go, thank goodness. I mean, this is amazing. I learned so much about life, about myself, about human behavior. And now I have the opportunity to share what I've learned, my experiences, my knowledge, and help other people break their patterns and their limiting beliefs to really cultivate a life they love. And to me, that is a beautiful gift.
Yes, yes. And your book is so amazing. Share with us what you believe to be some of the most powerful pieces that the reader will gain from this amazing book.
Well, it's interesting because I, have always been a very private person when it comes to, my life. And the book is not private at all. It was a process for me to write the book. It was uncomfortable, but I do believe that it's important to be uncomfortable with, to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because that's where you learn. The greatest lessons in life come through those challenges. It comes from the hard times or the hard lessons learned. So I think it's really important to really, learn how to be comfortable with that feeling. And so that's why in my book, I put personal experiences. Again, I had mentioned that I had suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder. And just briefly, if anyone's interested, of course, in the book, I'll just tell you that, so many years ago, I was attacked by a stranger. And it was so violent that the police believed that somebody was hired to kill me. Now, it was emotionally, like, my world was just completely, turned upside down. I was always that person that controlled everything. I always projected that I'm good, I'm happy, I got this, nothing bothers me, even though I was like, crying on the inside. I always showed that, no, I'm good, nothing bothers me. And then when this happened, it really was like I had no more room. I couldn't keep it in anymore. I tried to suppress it as I normally would have done, but I just couldn't because it was too big. And so, these experiences happen so that we can release all the stuff that's going on the inside, because all of our experiences are like emotional, especially negative, and the trauma is stored within the body. And so if we're not processing it, if we don't take the time to process it, to feel it, to allow it to happen, to bring up those feelings, it gets suppressed and then repressed. The longer it is, it's repressed. And so, it really, you can't function like you would normally want to if you want to live your best life, because you're stuck in all of these emotions, which would manifest itself as well through physical pain sometimes. But that's the body's signal. The body's giving you a signal that you need to pay attention here. Let's release all of the trapped emotion so that you can release and feel that freedom, and the freedom to be living your best life.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. Tell everyone where they can learn more about you and also get a copy of your book.
Thank you. So the book is available on Amazon worldwide, so you can check that out. Also, you can check out my website at taniakolar.com. So that's TANIAKOLAR.com. And I also have my academy, the Ignite Life Mastery Academy, where I have my signature program, which is called Ultimate Life Mastery. So I actually teach this process, which is linked to the book, many of these processes to really help people identify and overcome those limiting beliefs. But there's also ways to, build your confidence. But you don't want to just build confidence, you want to build a lasting confidence. And it's so empowering. So it kind of put, my decades of research and knowledge and my love of personal development and self-help and psychology all into one program. I also am creating, there's several programs that are coming. So going to the website, I think, is a great place, because you'll start to see more programs coming through as well.
Yes, I love it. Your book, Breaking the Stupid Mold, is amazing. It has so many powerful statements in it. With a few minutes left, Tania, what last words do you want to leave with everyone? What message do you want to leave us with today?
Well, I think the biggest message that I want to impart, to everyone is that you are a perfect being exactly as you are. Allow yourself the opportunity to let that beautiful inner radiant light shine. Stop covering it up. Stop worrying about what other people think. And I think it's so important to not compare yourself to others. Be a creator. Don't compare, create, so that you can create that best life, because you were meant to live an extraordinary life. You now have the opportunity, to step up and claim it. It is there for you. You just have to get out of your own way. And it's not as hard as you think. It's actually quite easy, because all it is making the choice to do it. That's the biggest part for you. And that can be, the biggest step. And from there, things will just emerge so beautifully for you and naturally, instead of that struggle and the battle. So I don't want people to think that they're here on this planet because they were meant to suffer greatly. We're not meant to suffer greatly. We're meant to have an extraordinary life that will have obstacles and challenges in it. That's part of the process. But it is so important to just recognize the perfection of who you are.
Yes, yes. And something I have to mention, being the Reiki girl that I am, I loved in your book that you said, how life-changing can it be when we attune or tap into the universal source energy? Tell us what you meant by that before we go.
So that's really that higher consciousness, right? That pure source that we all come from. Everything on the planet is all coming from one source. And if you can tap into that through silence is an excellent way to do that. It's not the only way, but it's an excellent way. And it's a way that I sort of really have sort of tapped into that, is through meditation. And it's an opportunity for you to get rid of that external noise, because when you have that busy, chaotic mind, that mind chatter, all of the chaos in life, and that's external noise. You can't hear and you can't understand the perfection of who you are, that beautiful, perfect soul that is all about that consciousness, where it's not about having to work harder. It's simply being, and it just feels right. You know it when you're there because it just feels absolutely perfect. And it's so hard for some people to get to that point because there's so many layers. And my job is to help people uncover those layers, peel back the layers, so that they can really feel that universal source energy that we are all made of. It's there, it's here, it's permeating the air, and that's where our thoughts go, and that's where your reality comes from. We're creating that reality based on our thoughts and the way that we feel, but any reality that you want is available to you.
Oh, I love it. And that is just so true and so beautiful. And gosh, it's just so exciting, Tania, to realize, how we are all so beautifully unique and so connected to source energy, and, so much out there. It's, to celebrate and love. It's just wonderful. I have enjoyed you so much. This has been so great. So happy to have you. For those who would like to see the video version of this interview, you can go to patreon.com/Paula Vail. And otherwise, feel free to email me with any questions or connect with Tania via her website. She is doing so much for others. I want to thank you for all that you're doing for so many, Tania.
Oh, Paula, I thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to be here to speak with your listeners. It's always a pleasure connecting with you. I love your energy. You have a big heart and a big mission to help others. And I'm so honored to be here and to be a part of that. And I look forward to your listeners connecting. You can also find me on social media. And, I'm happy to help you in any way that I can.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, my energy sister. Oh.
Yes, energy sister.
Love, hugs, and blessings to everyone. Thank you for joining us. Tania, love, hugs, and blessings. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.